ever wonder what the 3 basic needs of a woman are? I actually don't know, but Rich is gonna tell us. I'm just kidding. Half kidding. I don't know, but he is gonna share with us what his perspective is, and we'll determine if it's true.
So, my name is Rich Russell, and I'm the founder of Paraclete Consulting and Counseling, and we are going to dialogue today because one of the needs of a woman is to not tell her what to do.
Thank you. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
But we do. We want to talk about the 3 basic needs of a woman because I think if men understood, if women understood, what creates triggers. My passion is that we stop arguing about triggers, but we go down to root issues. And if we understand the deep motives in a man's heart and a woman's heart, then we can communicate and avoid the triggers.
Great.
So that's the motive.
I like avoiding triggers.
Okay, yeah, and I want to avoid the trigger of telling a woman what she needs. So I want to dialogue about it, and I want to get your feedback.
Perfect.
Because this has been, because I've seen this play out in counseling.
Yeah.
So the first basic need of a woman is that in getting into marriage, okay, and let's just put parameters on marriage.
Okay.
The first basic need is a woman needs to nest. She needs to have that freedom. So let's say you were going to get married. She's single, by the way.
Oh yeah. Any eligible bachelors? Anyway, go ahead.
I should probably charge her for advertising.
Probably.
So where are we going to go from there?
Nesting.
In the nesting. So let me ask you, what are your feelings about, like, if when you get married, are you going to want that freedom to be able to nest? Like, what if you were to marry a man who already owned a home, he already had his pictures up, he already had all his furniture, and you move in? Are you going to feel comfortable, like, just moving into his house?
No.
Or are you going to have to do something about it? Are you going to have to do something to put your stamp on it?
Right, yeah. No, I would definitely want it to have, it wouldn't feel like ours if I moved in and it just was left the way that he had it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would definitely want to, yeah.
And so you said something really important. It's like it wouldn't feel like it was ours.
Yeah.
Unless you could turn around and have some input into it. Which leads to the second one, which is connectedness. A woman needs to feel connected. A man can be very stoic. A man can, like, one of the favorite quotes I've ever heard in my life was by a man by the name of Danny Silk. He's written several books on relationships and marriage, and he says this quote. He said, "A woman thinks more about what a man thinks than a man thinks."
Yeah, I've heard that.
A woman thinks more about what a man thinks than a man thinks. And I have never had a woman disagree with that, which has been shocking to me. How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I don't really like that quote. I mean, I'm not sure if it's true or not. I haven't, I don't know.
Okay, so if you were to get into a significant relationship, come back to me and talk to me, because women who have been in significant relationships, every one of them, like, they've been married for years, they automatically say yes. And leave comments if you'd like to agree or disagree. But the fact is that a basic need of a woman is she needs to feel connected.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
So she'll ask. So she'll say, "Oh, what are you thinking, honey?"
Yeah.
And she needs to know. She needs to know what's going on inside her husband's head.
Yeah.
And if a man is, like, non-responsive or coy or appears to be deflective, I just say, "Oh, I'm fine. I just want my dinner." Nothing.
Yeah.
There's a trigger that goes off in women. Like, no, I'm not feeling connected right now. I need to go deeper. Is that
Yeah, I don't. So, I mean, I've experienced that too, where I am thinking about something, and then someone asks me what I'm thinking about, and I actually don't remember what I'm thinking about anymore.
Uh-huh.
And so I have assumed that that's what happens with guys too. That
Okay.
like, oh, what are you thinking about?
So you believe the
Nothing.
best. You
Right.
believe the best.
I believe the best.
And actually, it's probably true that men just aren't thinking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, women think a lot more than men think. And I think it goes back to the garden where a woman was created to be a helper and a support. And if she doesn't feel connected, then she doesn't know how to relate. So if she understands where the man is coming from, then she can better adapt. So there's a built-in, what do you call it? What is it, an insecurity? If you don't know what your man is thinking, or you wonder where you're at, you wonder where he's at, and you don't know how to support or help if you're not inside their heart and their head.
Yeah. I wonder.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that, and I've experienced that, and I actually thought it was maybe an unhealthy trait.
This is the beauty. Is this helps a woman accept her womanhood. It doesn't just help a man to communicate and understand and cooperate with meeting those needs. It's not a personal threat.
Okay.
Because one of the things that happens if we don't understand these basic motives,
yeah,
then all we do is look at, like, if you don't feel connected and you've already checked in a couple times and you're not getting the response, you're going to begin to react. And it could be in any a plethora of emotions, and we're not going to know what is the cause of it. And if you know, oh, hey, I'm not feeling connected, then you can communicate that to your husband.
Yeah, that's true.
Rather than just going, I'm really frustrated with you, and you're not doing this, and you're not taking out the trash, and all this, all of a sudden you're in this superficial triggers, rather than identifying what the root is.
Yeah, I've been learning about attachment styles lately, and where there's a secure attachment, anxious attachment, and avoidant. Those are the three most common.
Okay.
And then there's disordered attachment. But to me, that sounds like more coming from an anxious attachment place. And I think a lot of women, unfortunately, a lot of anxious attachment people are attracted to avoidant attachment people.
Okay,
or maybe the other way around. A lot of avoidance and anxious get together.
Okay, well, why don't you go ahead and define those a little bit?
Right. Okay. So, securely attached people have a more healthy way of relating to each other. They don't get triggered as easily. They are able to acknowledge and express how they're feeling. They're okay with closeness. They like closeness. So if one person gets closer, the other person gets closer, and they're comfortable with that.
So the foundation of that would be trust. They've built a trust with one another. That would be a healthy attachment.
Yes, but it's also, even without the relational aspect necessarily being between those two, just an individual can be have a different attachment style.
Okay.
And usually it's based on how we've grown up. So
Right.
Yeah, so if someone is securely attached because their parents taught them how to be, securely attached because they were healthy, then this kid grows up knowing, like, oh, I can express that I'm hurt and someone cares, and they'll respond and we'll get closer because of that, or I express how I feel about them and that brings closeness. Anxiously attached people are not secure, so they, instead of just expressing something, because they really crave attachment, but at the same time they're always expecting to be abandoned or rejected and that type of thing, And
Right.
so then they can't just be honest and upfront with where they're at. There's like, they start reacting to things and stuff like that. And avoidant people don't want attachment. They don't want closeness. So when someone
They're shut down.
they're shut down.
Yeah.
So when
So
someone
the anxious want it,
yes,
but they don't know how to get there.
yes,
And then
and they're like clawing at it, like, I need to be attached, I need to be attached.
yeah.
And the avoidant people are like, I don't want to be close. It is
Yeah.
too painful to be close. So
Yeah.
when someone starts getting close, they'll insult them, they'll shut them down, they'll pull back, that type of thing. And oftentimes avoidance and anxious people get together. And to me it sounds like what you're describing is a woman who has an anxious attachment style, actually, where
Do you think there's any insecurity once you get married, that when you start that bonding process, that you run into these walls where you don't feel connected and it creates an anxiety? I mean, a healthy person can enter into a person who thinks they're healthy.
yeah,
You know, it's like you think you're a good boxer until you step in the ring.
right,
You know,
Yeah.
so to me, I think the motive is in all three styles is they want to be connected.
yeah,
They want to be connected, but the avoidance has been wounded so much
Right.
that they don't even try anymore.
yeah,
And a closed spirit is the most dangerous thing a person can have.
yeah, yeah. So I think it is possible to change our attachment styles, and
Oh,
it's possible
definitely.
for secure people to become insecure,
Uh-huh.
and it's possible for insecure people to become more secure.
Right.
And so yes, I think it is possible if a secure person marries an avoidant, say,
Mhm.
and the avoidant is just pushing them away, it would be
Would.
possible for them to become anxious.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Which leads into the third basic need of a woman, which is to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
If a woman doesn't feel enjoyed, if she doesn't feel connected, she's not going to feel enjoyed. And I'm not talking about being used,
Right.
but there's an appreciation of, I enjoy being with you.
Yeah.
You know, and when you get into these, too often when you get into these triggers of miscommunication and misunderstanding,
Yeah.
then that would definitely create an anxiety in a woman,
Yeah.
where it would create counterproductive behavior. Because if
Yeah.
a woman doesn't feel connected and doesn't feel enjoyed, she's going to beat down most of the time, my experience has been, they will try and beat down the door. And it creates the exact opposite, because a man has a tendency to withdraw
That's the
or
anxious avoidant.
close. Yeah. And that's what happened. And it takes time to go through those processes of confrontation and then communication.
Yeah.
When there's a confrontation, if we understand what our deep motives are, then we can say, this is what it made me feel. And most of the time a man will turn around and say, oh, I was reacting to you because you wanted me to take out the trash, and it's like we're both capable. And yet there was something meaningful in, you didn't pick up your socks. How could you say you love me? Or you didn't take out the trash, or how come you didn't pick this up at the store? And it's going back to one of those three basic needs aren't being met. But the man only sees it as, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
I'll go to the store. And the woman goes, no, that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
Even though she may not know what it's about.
Right. Yeah.
And so those three, and I like the avoidance and anxiety,
Yeah.
and healthy, but I think those are responses to either met or unmet basic needs.
Yeah.
So the three needs, let me just the nesting, connection, and enjoyment. And if a man understands that his job is to make sure that a woman feels connected, he's open, he's willing to dialogue and share.
Yeah.
He gives her the freedom to you know, take out the blinds and put in drapes, and he's okay with that.
Yeah.
Because he wants you to. He says, "Oh, I understand what your need is. I'm more than happy to accommodate that." And then all three of them come down to, for me, is if a woman is aware that a man wants to meet those needs, and a man wants to meet a woman's needs, he just doesn't know. He doesn't know. It's like, I'm not. I've been distant. I'm not responding to texts, or I'm spending too much time at work. And it's like, if a man understands those needs, most of the time he'll make that accommodation, and it's really beneficial to do that.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to when a woman believes that a man at least wants to do those three things, then that opens up her heart to trust, and you can have open dialogues, and you can have more honest communications about how you feel. I think part of this these talks on relational truths is really to go down to those deep motives and understand each other's heart. Because if we understand the deep motives of a woman and understand the deep motives of a man, then we'll be able to go down to the root issues and meet those needs. And it's been my experience that when a man understands, he wants to. There's something about wanting to cover a woman, and satisfy a woman, make a woman happy. That it's that old expression, happy wife, happy life. Men want to do that. My experience is they don't know how.
Okay.
Or women try and get those needs met in an unhealthy way. Yeah.
So nesting, connection, enjoyment. Yeah, I definitely relate. I agree, especially with the connection and enjoyment, but also the nesting too. Yeah, I do agree with those.
Yeah, because the nesting is really connected to the connection. If it's like, are you valuing me? Are you valuing me? Otherwise I'm just a concubine. If I can't come in, if I can't come in and belong and have the freedom to express my creativity, then that breaks the sense of connection.
Yeah, that's true. So I wonder if a man is avoidant and connection is a need, what would you recommend for a guy on how to connect if he's avoidant? Like if his knee-jerk reaction is to avoid connection, like what are steps that he can take to actually connect more?
Okay, so at that point in time, I would no longer counsel them together.
Okay.
Okay, and then I would begin, in many ways. So I like cognitive behavior therapy, being Christ-centered, and using the Paraclete prayer model that helps you hear God more clearly. And then begin to explore. Go to that trigger. Go to that trigger, and then go into the Paraclete prayer model, because Paraclete prayer exposes the motives of the heart. Because we have a fallen nature and we have a noble nature, and in every situation we'll respond out of one or the other. If we're responding in a negative manner out of our fallen nature, that will take us to root issues. It'll trigger things inside. It'll reveal things in our past that we can pray about and get healing. Because a lot of times what it takes is an understanding of where that wrong reaction is taking place. Why is it closed? Did your father reject you, or did your mother reject you? Like in my life, my mother rejected me when I was 7, and my father rejected me when I was born. And so I'm hardwired to go into that anxious mode, and and I can quickly go into the avoidance mode in relationships, and I have to be on guard against that. And if I'm aware of it, then I can go, okay, this could be me reacting to something that you're not doing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you can begin to grow. Because a lot of times when wounds come in when you're a child, even when you're an adult and you get healed, you've got this gap. You're healed, but you're still a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
Emotionally. So you have to have that nurture and grow. So you've been set free, you understand, you've had the truth spoken to you, you received the truth, and the truth has set you free, but you're still emotionally immature in that area and still very sensitive. And so that's where it takes, an understanding with the people in say that man's life, to recognize it and come in with the opposite spirit. So if it's been, if like for me it was rejection, I respond very well to acceptance. I feel very safe around people who accept me. But I can, I'm trained to pick up on rejection in a room. Where if you've been burned, and even once you've been healed from a burn, you get anywhere near a fire, and you're far more sensitive than somebody that hasn't been burned. And that's something that, and again, this is, if we have a cognitive awareness of that, then we go, okay, that person didn't offer me a cookie. I don't have to react to that. That doesn't mean she doesn't love me. But you have to grow in it. Even at my age, I was so hardwired in it, and I've had a revelation of Jesus, and I've been set free, and yet I still have to guard against reacting in a negative way to when I have that sensitivity.
So we've kind of gone on a rabbit trail.
Okay.
A long rabbit trail. So I think we should go back to the topic. And
well, we went back. What do you do with an avoidance personality?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 needs of a woman: nesting, connection, enjoyment. I agree. Right.
Wow.
To let us know if you agree.
Wow.
What?
I'm impressed with me. I was right. That's unusual, man. Right?
I mean, there might be more than that, more than those 3, but I do agree with those 3.
Okay, great. Okay, well, that's it for now, and then hopefully we'll have more topics on relational truths to better improve and walk in healthier relationships. And we'll see you next time. God bless you.
God bless.